In the world of horology, few watches evoke the same level of excitement and reverence as the 1978 Rolex Daytona Cosmograph, a true icon of speed and style. This Rolex Daytona Cosmograph is a masterpiece of mechanical artistry and innovation, and the guest is proud to have inherited it from his father.
My dad left it when he passed away. When we were growing up, my twin and I, we would always kind of fight for it because we always thought it was like a nice piece of watch. He decided at the end that he would give it to whomever would go the farthest in education.
This watch represents a pivotal era in the Daytona's history, predating the introduction of automatic movements and sapphire crystals. More than just a timepiece, it transcends its functional purpose to become a symbol of style and performance. With its sleek design and strong racing heritage, this 1978 Rolex Daytona Cosmograph embodies adventure and sophistication. It has chronograph functions, featuring robust pushers and clearly marked subdials, allowing drivers to measure elapsed time with remarkable precision.
Here you have a silver white dial, you have the black subdials. Other watches have black dials with white subdials. Most collectors feel that this is the most pleasing dial of all the watches.
This particular piece features a black acrylic bezel with a tachymeter scale, designed for measuring average speed over a known distance. Furthermore, its screw-down chronograph pushers enhance water resistance while preventing accidental activation of the chronograph function. Daytona models from 1978, especially those in excellent condition and featuring sought-after details like the big red dial, are relatively rare and highly collectible.
Well, the red on some of them is called the big red, and it's a wider, fatter, bigger font.
Despite its age, it remains in remarkable condition, preserving its original finish and mechanical integrity. Over the years, this model has become increasingly desirable among collectors, and in an auction it is estimated to be worth
$95,000 to $105,000.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Displayed on the screen is a Patek Philippe silver deck chronometer, inherited by the guest from his extended family. A masterpiece of horology, the 1911 Patek Philippe silver deck chronometer embodies the perfect union of form and function, where elegance meets precision.
The watch, it's made in silver, and it's what we would call coin silver.
Already celebrated for its expertise in horology, Patek produced silver deck chronometers specifically designed for maritime navigation and scientific accuracy. More than a century later, its mechanism still beats with the same unwavering accuracy, a relic of an era when navigation relied as much on craftsmanship as on celestial charts. This watch's classic design, with its simple, elegant lines and proportions, ensures that it remains a timeless and sophisticated timepiece. Encased in solid silver, it features a power reserve indicator and a stunning white enamel dial, adorned with bold black numerals and hands.
It's a power reserve indicator. That would tell you when the watch is wound all the way up, how many hours it would take until it runs down. So basically, on a full wind, it would run about 36 hours.
On the reverse side, an engraved Patek Philippe signature accompanies a high-precision mechanical balance known as the Guillaume balance, designed with meticulous attention to detail. Interestingly, Patek was certified as a chronometer by the Geneva Observatory in 1943, ensuring the accuracy and reliability of their timepieces.
These watches were all sent to the timing trials in Geneva, Switzerland, at the observatory there, and it was made for heat and cold.
The silver deck chronometer is extremely rare, making it highly sought after by collectors and connoisseurs. The retail value of this impeccably preserved timepiece, complete with its original case, is estimated to be
and the least amount, $50,000.
Really?
But I think you have the potential of a $100,000 timepiece here.
It's very impressive, really. I had no idea. I don't know what to say.
This exquisite timepiece on display has a remarkable history. It has been passed down through 3 generations.
This watch belonged to my grandfather. He was a watchmaker, and it got handed down to my father and then to me. And I've had the watch for about the last 40 years.
Where have you been keeping it?
In the safe.
What makes this watch truly extraordinary is its intricate design, even though it lacks any visible branding. Dubbed the fancy no-name watch, it boasts a perpetual moon phase calendar, making it a feature-rich masterpiece of horology. Its various subdials display the numerical date, the day in French, and a classic subsidiary seconds hand, all alongside the moon phase.
It's a perpetual calendar, so it gives the months. Being perpetual, what it does is once every 4 years, just for leap year.
Another remarkable function is its chronograph, which allows it to serve as a stopwatch. With the push of a button, the second hand begins moving, stops with a second press, and resets with a third. Enhancing its sophistication, the watch also features a repeater function, chiming the time on demand via a slide mechanism. A stunning revelation occurred when the guest, examining the watch without his glasses, noticed an inscription beneath the striking mechanism but couldn't decipher it. Upon closer inspection, the hidden name, Lecoute, was revealed. Founded in 1833 by Antoine Lecoute, the company first specialized in ébauche before becoming a full-fledged watchmaker.
But soon after that, they got into manufacturing watches. This was most likely made in the later part of the 1800s. It's what we call a hunting case, and it's very heavy, very solid.
Antoine Lecoute, a pioneering Swiss watchmaker, was known for his exceptional mechanical innovations and played a crucial role in advancing 19th century watchmaking technology. Furthermore, this piece features a robust 18-karat gold hunting case and a rare wolf's tooth winding system, prized for its precision and durability. Assuming the absence of a brand name diminished its worth, our guest initially estimated the watch's value at around.
But no name, so I was thinking maybe $5,000.
However, in today's auction market, this extraordinary timepiece is appraised at an astonishing value between
$35,000 and $40,000.
No.
Yep.
Jeez.
That's fantastic, huh?
Yes. Wow.
On display is the Jaeger LeCoute Memovox Polaris, a cherished heirloom passed down to our guest from his father.
This is a watch I got from my father when he passed away. That's 25 years ago, and it sat in my basement all this time. It took me a long time to find out that it's a LeCoultre.
He received it as a guest from a neighbor, an extraordinary gesture that speaks volumes about the regard in which he was held. This watch's true identity was uncovered by a specialist in the brand, as it was discovered to be a LeCoute, the Polaris model watch.
Took it into a dealer of the same brand of watch, LeCoultre, and they said it's authentic. And they suggested they could get it repaired for me if it needed to be repaired. I didn't know what to do at the time, and then since then we moved, so it's been on hold.
LeCoute, a Swiss luxury watch and clock manufacturer, was founded by Antoine Lecoute in 1833 and is based in Le Sentier. Introduced around 1965, this model, given its broad luminous markers, likely dates to 1967 or 1968. It was designed for divers, featuring an alarm that both vibrates and sounds underwater, signaling when it's time to resurface. However, while many might mistakenly believe that the metal bracelet was a later addition, it is in fact an authentic factory-issued component, an exclusive detail reserved for the US market.
What's really nice about that bracelet is it's very desirable to collectors and very rare.
With fewer than 1,800 produced, this watch is an exceptionally rare and highly coveted collector's item, its scarcity enhancing its desirability. Despite visible signs of wear, scratches on the crystal, a worn case and darkened luminous material on the hands, it remains exceptional. According to the appraiser, in today's market, even with its condition issues, this watch would be worth.
I would still put the estimate at $20,000 to $25,000.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that's great.
The item on display is the Cartier Tortue Platinum and Diamond watch, a masterpiece of Art Deco elegance that blends horological innovation with timeless luxury. Inherited over 20 years ago by our guest from her uncle, who also inherited it from his client.
He was a financial advisor in New York City, and she left it to him in her will, and then he passed it on to me.
Bearing the Cartier signature on its dial, this watch is far older than expected. Rather than a 1950s design, it hails from the roaring 20s. Cartier, the king of jewelers, was founded in 1847 by Louis-François Cartier in Paris and is renowned for its exquisite watches, high jewelry, and timeless designs. Louis-François Cartier, a French jeweler and businessman, founded Cartier in 1847, shaping it into a world-renowned luxury brand. His craftsmanship and innovation transformed a small Parisian workshop into a globally renowned name in fine jewelry and watchmaking. Crafted in platinum and adorned with dazzling rose-cut diamonds, this piece predates the shift to single and full-cut stones, dating it to around 1920. However, its bracelet is a later addition, likely from the 1930s to 1950s, replacing the original black grosgrain silk ribbon. Fortunately, this replacement does not significantly affect the value, as the true worth lies in the watch's case or head. This piece also bears French platinum hallmarks, confirming its Cartier Paris origins. Its distinctive shape follows Cartier's tortue style, French for turtle. Interestingly, this timepiece was appraised 15 years ago, and back then it had an estimated value of.
My daughter and I were talking, and we thought around $5,000 to $10,000.
With the growing interest in vintage Cartier timepieces, its current auction value would easily be.
I see this at $20,000 to $25,000.
Oh, very nice. Oh, I like that. Very nice.
Today's guest acquired this exquisite watch from a sergeant major back in 2007.
I had a sergeant major who presented me with an opportunity to buy several Rolexes. They were all older. He was into the estate hunting business, and I said, sure, I'll take it.
What did you pay the sergeant major for the watches?
So 3 watches, $5,000, financed over about 2 years.
This watch is quite unique, what collectors call a Frankenstein. It's a Rolex Submariner 1680, the first in the line to feature a date complication.
It had an acrylic crystal, and the watch was made right in through the late 60s into the mid 70s.
Based on its serial number, this watch dates back to 1974, a time when Rolex did not produce a two-tone Submariner in gold and stainless steel. It wasn't uncommon for Rolex owners at the time to request modifications, such as matching their Submariner to a two-tone Datejust. That's exactly what happened here. The case and movement are original, but the hands, bezel and crown were replaced with gold components from a later model.
Are gold hands from a later date. The bezel, which holds the insert, is a gold bezel from a later watch.
Okay.
One of the most coveted features of early Submariners is the red Submariner text, which makes these models highly desirable among collectors. However, this watch features a correct Mark IV dial and a matching Mark III insert, both aligning perfectly with its 1974 production year. The Mark IV dial and Mark III insert are key details that authenticate this Rolex Submariner 1680 as a true 1974 model. This means that while this timepiece originally left the factory as a stainless steel Submariner, it was modified long ago, well before it was acquired 14 years ago. Despite the alterations, its value remains strong, and in today's market it would likely be valued between.
Would probably trade somewhere between $15,000 to $17,000.
Okay. Thank you so much.
The item on display is a 1969 Rolex Explorer watch, acquired by the guest's father during a stopover in Hong Kong on his way to Vietnam.
He wore it all through Vietnam and gave it to me when I graduated high school. And I wore it while I went through the Naval Academy and to Iraq and through a 20-year career in the Navy. And I'm planning to pass it on to one of my kids at some point in the future.
This timepiece is a Rolex Explorer 1, a model that has been in continuous production since 1953. Rolex, one of the world's most iconic and prestigious watch brands, is renowned for its craftsmanship, innovation, and timeless design. Founded in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf and Alfred Davis in London, the company later relocated to Geneva, Switzerland, where it remains headquartered today. Hans Wilsdorf, a German-born entrepreneur, co-founded Rolex with his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis, in London, focusing on importing Swiss movements and casing them in high-quality metal. Unlike Rolex's larger sports models, the Explorer maintains a more understated profile while remaining highly sought after by collectors. This piece is highly popular and features a Jubilee Swiss bracelet from Rolex, though the bracelet was likely added later. Furthermore, the appeal of this watch lies in its simplicity, as it lacks a date function, making it less complicated.
Do you know why your father picked the Rolex and the Explorer model in general?
I don't.
I know you mentioned he liked that it didn't have a calendar.
Correct. But other than that, no, I don't know. That's what he liked. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2010.
Another standout feature is its high-contrast black dial with luminous numerals, ensuring excellent legibility in low-light conditions.
It would glow in the dark, so if he was working at night, he could easily see what the time was on it.
Given its interesting provenance and high quality, this particular wristwatch would command a price of
$12,000 to $15,000 is what it would sell for.
That's awesome. Thank you.
This memorabilia was related to the Lindbergh trial, and it originally belonged to the guest's great-grandfather, David Miller Klein. Klein had taken care of the jailer for Hauptmann during the trial. Part of the collection was donated to the New Jersey State Police Museum in Trenton. Providing context about Charles Lindbergh, he became a national hero after completing the first solo transatlantic flight in 1927. But his fame turned into a national tragedy when his 20-month-old baby was kidnapped on March 1st, 1932. This was the crime of the century, and the baby was later found dead near the Lindborough property. Among the memorabilia brought in by the guest were original signs and wanted posters from the trial, including law enforcement posters showing handwritten specimens linked to the kidnappers. Additionally, the collection included a first-day cover featuring an imprint of the infamous ladder that implicated Hortman, a carpenter, in the crime. Another notable item was a penny imprinted with courthouse markings from the trial. The guest also had a Lindborough signed first-day cover and an original ticket needed to attend the trial. The appraiser estimated that the posters alone, in their excellent condition.
The posters in general in this condition at auction would bring between $2,000 and $3,000.
The additional material, including the first-day cover and the imprinted penny, were estimated at.
And the extra material that you have just here would add another $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay. Our guest's mother repaired these leathers after Evel Knievel's jump at Caesar's Palace in December 1967. Evel Knievel never picked up or paid for the repaired leathers, leaving them in the guest's possession. The appraiser highlighted tumble marks and damage from Knievel's crash, adding authenticity to the piece. Knievel, a motorcycle daredevil from Butte, Montana, became famous for his numerous jumps and stunts.
Evel Knievel was born in Butte, Montana, and I actually knew Evel. He told me that when he was a kid, he knew he was going to do something great, and so he bought a pickup truck in Butte, Montana.
The leathers show significant wear, including a blowout at the elbow, road rash, and a puncture on the back.
There's lots of road rash there. There's an overpatch here, which I believe there's a puncture on the back side of that.
Knievel's career and wild life made him a celebrity, often appearing on talk shows, and the leathers were previously offered $10,000 8 years ago, but the appraiser now estimates their value at.
That these leathers at auction would be $40,000 to $60,000.
Really? That's kind of amazing.
If confirmed to be from the Caesar's Palace jump, their value could exceed $100,000 at auction. Guest's husband received a mysterious watercolor piece from his drawing professor, sparking curiosity about its origin. The professor had purchased it from Jimmy Ernst, son of renowned surrealist artist Max Ernst in Lincoln, Nebraska. For 30 years, the piece remained an enigma until the guest decided to uncover its secrets. Jimmy Ernst's life was marked by his complicated relationship with his father, who abandoned his family when Jimmy was young.
Yes, he is the son of Max Ernst, who is one of the most important surrealist painters internationally. Jimmy was born in Cologne, Germany, and actually grew up there until he was about 18. His father had abandoned the family, and he was raised primarily by his mother, who was an art historian.
Ernst's unique style, characterized by intricate brushwork and bizarre imagery, emerged in the 1950s. The piece the guest owns, dated 1959, exemplifying this style, blending watercolor and gouache techniques. As decorative arts from the 1950s gained popularity, Jimmy Ernst's work was increasingly sought after, a testament to Ernst's growing reputation. The artwork was appraised at.
The value would be $5,000.
That's nice.
Guest's dad bought the chair in 1957 or 1958 to rock babies.
My dad bought the chair in probably 57, maybe 58 to rock babies.
The appraiser loves mid-century modern furniture and admires this design. It was designed by Charles Ames, a great visionary, and made by Herman Miller. The chair's date stamp is November 21st, 1957, indicating its production. Early fiberglass chairs by Ames have unique features like a rope edge and different rubber pads. Its seafoam green color is rare and adds to its value. The monetary value of this 1957 Ames chair is...
A monetary value on a 1957 Ames chair like this is about $600 to $900, and it's an auction estimate.
Wow.
But it could bring more because of the rare color.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Guest inherited this painting from her grandparents. She believes it's a French watercolor, but is unsure of the artist or value. She's always admired the painting's frame more than the artwork itself. The appraiser identifies the painting as a gouache on paper by French artist Eugene Gallienne-Leloup. The painting depicts a Parisian flower market during a winter scene. It is dated to the early 1900s, during the Belle Époque era. Galien Leloup became a war artist for France in 1914, indicating this painting was created earlier. The guest admits to having doubts about the painting's authenticity. The appraiser confirms the painting is genuine. The painting is estimated to be worth.
We would estimate it at $10,000 to $15,000.
Really?
That's right.
Oh, yay! Thank you. What a treasure.
Guest inherited a table from her mother about 30 years ago. It was purchased from a junk store in the Columbus, Ohio area. The table is an inlaid cherry Ron drawwork table with intricate details like star inlay and fan inlay in the corner. The expert believes the table originated from Kentucky or Tennessee. The guest expects the table's value to be less than $50. The table shows signs of wear, which is due to its age. It was made around 1810 to 1815. The guest mentions her mother likely acquired the table for free from friends during the 1960s. The appraiser estimates the table's auction value at
It would be estimated in the $6,000 to $8,000 range.
That's over 50. We can't use it as a TV stand anymore, though, probably, can we?
Encounters with legendary artists often become treasured memories, capturing the essence of their creative spirit. The guest's chance meeting with Beatrice Wood at the Garth Clark Gallery in Los Angeles before it closed down offers a rare glimpse into the life of a true icon. Garth Clark Gallery, Los Angeles. Wood, known as the Mama of Dada, was a central figure in the Dadaist movement, famous for her vibrant personality and artistic flair. Beatrice Wood. Her witty charm, epitomized by her secret to longevity, chocolates and young men, captivated everyone she met. Wood's pottery, renowned for its nacreous iridescent glazes, continues to enchant collectors and art enthusiasts alike.
She discovered ceramics and she studied under Gertrude Natter-Natzler. But what she really became known for were these colorful nacreous iridescent glazes.
This guest's collection includes 2 exquisite pieces from the late 80s, each reflecting Wood's distinctive style and craftsmanship. The neoclassical vase and intricately designed bowl showcase Wood's masterful craftsmanship and artistic vision.
It's actually really neoclassical. It's a straight takeoff on a Roman vase. Has a great nacreous finish to it.
Collectively, these works, loved for their artistic beauty and rich stories, are worth.
So I think easily you're looking at about $3,500 to $5,000 worth of Beatrice Wood's work.
That's great. That's really good to hear.
The guest brought in a painting depicting his brother-in-law, a Wyoming sheep rancher, created by Minerva Teichert in 1959.
Painting of my brother-in-law, who was a sheep rancher in Wyoming. It was painted, I believe, from the date in 1959.
Minerva Teichert was a well-known artist from the Salt Lake area, famous for her religious and rural scenes. She lived in Cokeville, Wyoming, where the painting was kept, and was a prominent figure in her community. Teichert was born in 1888 and raised in Idaho with a strict Mormon upbringing. She studied art in Chicago and New York under notable artists like Robert Henry. Teichert is famous for her large-scale works, including murals in Mormon temples and Brigham Young. The painting was an oil-on-canvas work, with its original frame adding to its value.
She is one of the more famous Mormon artists, actually, today. She was sent to school, first in Chicago, at the Art Institute of Chicago, where she studied under Vanderpoel.
The painting's value was estimated at.
I would estimate this work at auction with a very conservative estimate of $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh.
The guest brought a rare 3-volume set of nature journals, including a historic issue signed by James Watson. It features the groundbreaking discovery of DNA's double helix structure by James Watson and Francis Crick. This seminal paper, published on April 25, 1953, revolutionized molecular biology and cemented Watson and Crick's legacy. The owner acquired the journal as part of a package deal for $10,000, but its value extends far beyond its initial cost.
That's signed by Dr. James Watson and the discovery of the double helix.
Exactly.
And back in Britain, when they did this, it was very, very controversial at first.
Watson's simple yet distinctive signature adds significant value to the journal, making it a prized possession for any scientist or collector.
So what we have here is really one of the most important scientific papers ever published. This is the journal issue, we would call it, from that book point of view.
A copy of Watson's book, The Double Helix. Signed by both Watson and Francis Crick, it is owned by the individual. These rare items were not only historically significant, but also highly valuable, making them being estimated at.
I still think the journal issue of that would be in that same 5,000 to 7,000 auction estimate, maybe 6,000 to 8,000. I mean, it's fantastic. For insurance, you're looking at least a $20,000 value to insure the both of them.
10 years ago, her Aunt Julie gave them to her. Superman number 7, from November to December 1940, is a significant early issue in the series. Action Comics number 31, December 1940, features Superman's early adventures. The Action Comics series, the birthplace of Superman, shaped his defining elements and mythos. Discover the secret to comic book value.
If you notice this little line down here, that's a dust shadow, which indicates that another comic book at one time was sitting on top of that, a little bit crookedly, and made that line.
Both comics, originally priced at 10 cents, are key pieces of comic book history. They showcase Superman's early development and the golden age of comic books. Minor issues include small spine splits, chipping, and a dust shadow from uneven stacking. The appraiser valued Superman 7 and Action 31 for their crucial role in defining Superman's legacy.
I'd be conservative and maybe put this at 5,000 to 8,000. So you're looking at roughly about $7,500 to $12,000 for an auction estimate.
Famous sculptor Alexander Calder gave the guest this sculpture for his 15th birthday, which the guest suspected was being made during his visit. During the stay, the guest had the opportunity to explore Calder's studio, and despite Calder's Parkinson's disease, the guest observed him working with steady hands. Calder was known for his innovative mobiles, kinetic sculptures powered by motors or air currents, his static stabiles and his moment public sculptures. Calder's studio was likened to an old French farmhouse or barn filled with metal, wire, and mock-ups of his work. This sculpture, gifted to the guest, was a combination of a mobile and a stabile. The lower part was stable and the upper part was mobile. It was an amazingly balanced piece, and the movement of the hand was extraordinary. The piece was noted for its craftsmanship and Calder's monogram. Such pieces are easy to fake, so it's important to have them authenticated by the Alexander Calder Foundation. In a gallery setting, with proper documentation, the sculptor's value could be around.
In a gallery setting, this would be $250,000.
Wow. Jeez, that's amazing.
Presented before us is a delightful silver box. The guest purchased it from a colleague who needed funds.
Well, I know very little about it, Alistair, other than the fact that I was in business and one of the people in my office came to me and said he was a bit short of cash.
Upon closer inspection, a portrait of King Charles I is revealed at the top with his wife, Henrietta Maria's portrait, inscribed below. Intricate and beautiful figures adorn the box, giving it a mesmerizing, slightly sinister charm.
What I particularly like about this box is these fantastic, fanciful...
This piece is a gambling counterbox containing a set of exquisite counters within.
And I think if we take the lid off, we'll see inside these fantastic counters.
Simon van der Pas, a master engraver, is associated with these remarkable pieces. He was a Dutch engraver and printmaker, active in England during the early 17th century. His death in 1647 suggests that this exceptional piece was created circa 1640, prior to his passing. Interestingly, the box contains 32 counters, just shy of its capacity, a truly unique situation. Every one of these counters is a work of art. The cumulative value of these outstanding pieces reaches an auction estimate of...
Well, I can tell you it's more than £2,000.
It is?
Yeah. It's now £6,000 to £8,000.
No.
Pottery expert David Lackey presented several examples of palissyware. Palissyware is a 19th century term for ceramics produced in the style of the famous French potter Bernard Palissy, who developed this style by casting actual animals and moulding them in wet clay. These pieces were meant strictly for display and not intended as dinnerware. This particular piece was made by Emmanuel Moffra in the late 19th century, around the 1880s to 1890s, in the city of Caldesterone. It was highlighted for its typical English frogs and snakes against a grassy background, indicative of Portuguese origin. Being particularly common, this piece was valued at
This particular piece is relatively common and would usually sell for around $1,000 to $1,500.
Another French piece was from Tours, made by Land Naturaliste de Hauteur between the 1860s and 1880s. Its detailed modelling made it more desirable and valuable, with a retail value of.
It would have a retail value around $3,000 to $4,000.
This high price was because the marked pieces by this maker were particularly unusual and thus more valuable. Lastly, a beautiful charger, made in Paris by Barbizet between the 1850s and 1880s was examined. Although unmarked, it was identified by its depth, dimension and typical glazes. With a distinctive snake on the rim, this artistic piece was valued at around.
And so the value? Around $15,000 at retail.
The guest's mother owned a pin made for her by her husband, a Navy PT boat officer.
And he was on a PT boat during the war. And my mom had this pin made. Now, where the diamond came from, I have no idea.
It features a diamond of unknown origin and a detailed mosquito. The guest's aunt believes the pin was crafted by Wilmington, Delaware jeweler Willard Davis. Mosquitoes are common in Victorian jewelry, but a mosquito on a torpedo is unique. The mosquito was a nickname for PT boats, and the pin features 2 torpedoes. The pin's metal is white gold, and the mosquito is incredibly lifelike. The guest's mother added the diamond to enhance the pin's appearance. The diamond is an old mine cut, weighing approximately 1.5 carats. This type of jewelry is often called sweetheart jewelry and was traditionally given as a gift from gents to the ladies. The appraiser estimates the pin's auction value at.
I would say at auction you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Bakelite, made by Leo Bakeland in 1907. The cherry pin has vibrant glossy red cherries. The cherries are attached to green bakelite leaves, adding realism and charm. This design captures the playful, colourful Art Deco style. These affordable luxuries symbolize elegance and fun during the Great Depression. Bakelite jewelry, like cherry pins, is prized for its unique look and history. The Bakelite cherry pin symbolizes vintage fashion and creativity. The appraiser valued its vibrant charm and historical significance for $400. This vase was selected by the guest when her great-aunt passed away in 1964. Her mother thought the vase was ugly and easy to give up. She knew some details about the vase, including the date, 1905, and the AA mark. The vase was made by Van Briggle, who moved to Colorado Springs due to TB. Factory still operates today, though Van Briggle died in 1904. The vase is an example of challenging matte glaze work overseen by his wife, Anna. Anna ran the company until it was sold to businessmen in 1912.
This is a challenging piece. It's painted with matte glazes. Would have been overseen by his wife, Anna, who survived, of course, and ran the company till around 1912 when it was sold out to businessmen.
There's a misconception that the company stopped making good pieces after Van Briggle's death. With its organic glazes, it is considered an academic piece and is valued at.
Auction, I would estimate it at between $1,500 and $2,000, so certainly better than most.
Okay.
The updated value of the vase has decreased to $1,000 to $1,500. This painting belonged to the guest's mother, who passed away in 2001. She bought it from a gallery in Georgia, and the guest is unknown of its exact origin. The artist is James E. Buttersworth, a renowned marine painter from England. The painting is a yacht race with an American flag in the distance. Buttersworth was known for his detailed-like small flags and retail depictions of boats. The painting's perspective suggests Buttersworth was likely in a small boat race during the race. The appraiser believes the painting could be from America's Cup race. Similar paintings have sold at auction for around $90,000 each. The painting's estimated value is.
So I think you could safely say at auction that this would be an estimate of $80,000 to $120,000.
You're kidding.
Oh, goodness.
The updated value of this lovely painting is $50,000 to $70,000. The guest's mother and father-in-law were furnishing a home about 40 years ago. They brought several paintings, including this wonderful piece at a flea market in the New York area. It is signed by Edward Mitchell Bannister, a 19th century first African-American award-winner artist. This particular painting was done in 1879, and Bannister died in 1901. It was likely painted in Providence, Rhode Island, where Bannister is most associated. His paintings, often of cattle, are evocative and typical of his style. He worked as a ship's cook, barber, and photographer while continuing to paint. After marrying a New York City businesswoman, he devoted more time to painting. He was inspired by the French Barbizon school. Despite minor damages, this painting is valued at
auction, I would say $6,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our guest found this miniature portrait at an antique shop in Brewster, Massachusetts in the early 1950s. Intrigued by its charm, the guest purchased it for about $150 to $175. The portrait is based on ivory and features a baby in a red dress with one bare foot. A unique detail is the baby's look, attributed to sucking on a rock candy.
And when it comes to portraits, the most desirable ones usually are of children, attractive children. It's nice to have them by a known artist.
The appraiser highlighted the portraits of attractive children by known artists are highly desirable. The portrait dates between 1825 and 1850, with the case being 25 years newer. This leather case features mother of pearl and gilt embossing. The estimated retail value of this miniature portrait is at
All of us felt very comfortable that this would be worth retail $12,000 to $15,000.
You are fooling me.
Our guest received these porcelain figures from her husband's grandmother's place when no one else wanted them. They were initially purchased by her husband's great-grandfather as a housewarming gift in the 1840s. These figures depict the four seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. The appraiser noted the exceptional quality and detailed modeling of the figures, particularly the drapery and painted flowers. They are identified as German, made in the Meissen style, but not exact copies.
On this other one, all the little flowers in the dress are painted, and we can see those in the front and the detailing here over on the cornucopia.
The figures are estimated to date between 1850 and 1880, adding to their historical value. Despite a minor break on one wrist, the overall condition is almost perfect. The appraised retail value of the set ranges from
Our estimate is that these would have a retail value between $1,500 and $2,000.
Wow.
Texan cowboy culture has thrived for generations, with spurs an essential gear. More than tools, spurs are style statements, and vintage ones are Western heritage relics. Texas spurs come in two basic shapes: big, heavy, punchy spurs and lighter, more delicate spurs. One vintage pair was made by P.M. Kelly in El Paso, Texas, starting in 1903. Kelly spurs could sell for
If they came on the market in a sale, they would go for $1,000 or $1,500.
Another delicate and decorative style was made by J.R. McChesney.
Those center spurs were made by J.R. McChesney. McChesney spurs tended to be more light and delicate than a lot of other Texas spurs.
Dating to the early 1920s, McChesney spurs could bring.
They would probably bring $1,200 to $1,500 for the pair.
A third, beefier pair of spurs was made by J.O. Bass in Tulia, Texas, using car axles. Bass spurs from the 1920s to 1940s were highly prized. They could be worth.
Those spurs would bring $5,000 to $8,000. A little on the lower end because they've been cleaned.
The entire collection is valued between $7,200 and $11,000. Guest's dad gave her this piece about 27 years ago. It's an original oil painting by the famous artist, Philippe Lightford. This painting was made as a billboard to go on top of a building. It's an original oil work and the master for a billboard. Narragansett Beer, a Rhode Island institution, featured this billboard. This billboard was displayed on a local building in Providence and is remembered by many. It likely dates back to the late 1940s. This piece is valued at.
I'd put a value on this piece of $800 to $1,000.
Wow. Great. That's terrific. That's great.
An updated value of this painting is now an impressive $1,800 to $2,000. Our guest's cousin inherited this celestial indicator, which was invented by their great-grandfather in Hartford, Connecticut. The guest had owned it for about 20 years and only recently opened it. This celestial indicator, used to demonstrate the solar system's workings, includes the original instruction sheet and packing case. It features the Sun at the center, followed by Mercury, Venus, Earth, and other planets. Despite some damage to the paper gauze, the Moon still moves and would orbit the Earth if fully functional. The indicator is over 100 years old, made from lacquered brass on a painted cast iron base with...
It's constructed from lacquered brass on a painted cast iron base. Now, according to our little instruction sheet here...
Victorian technology like this is highly collectible today. At auction, this piece could easily fetch a value of...
I would not be surprised to see this sell for between $3,000 and $5,000.
Oh, I'm surprised.
A sketch believed to be done by Auguste Rodin for his sculptures was presented for appraisal. François-Auguste René Rodin was a French sculptor born in 1840 and generally considered the founder of modern sculpture. The famous sculptor was not only known for works like The Kiss and The Thinker, but also created many drawings. Most similar drawings were not actually by Rodin, so caution was necessary. This sketch had a reasonable chance of being authentic based on initial examination. The signature appeared very assured, with a fluid line and a mixture of graphite and watercolor. Verification by the Musée Rodin in Paris was essential, as they had a list of 8,000 verified drawings. The sketch's value was estimated at...
I would estimate it for auction at probably $8,000 to $12,000.
About 15 to 20 years ago, the guest attended an antique show and discovered this piece that reminded them of jewelry their mother owned, featuring Brazilian butterfly wings. Recognizing the distinctive color and suspecting it might be a Tiffany, the guest purchased this scarab jewelry for approximately $400 at a local antique show. The appraiser explained that scarabs are beetles and were considered Egyptian deities symbolizing rebirth, regeneration, and life. Tiffany & Co. had created pieces featuring these beetles. The necklace that the guest brought was confirmed to be an authentic Tiffany piece. It was made of Favril glass with an 18-karat gold chain dating to around 1915. The Tiffany & Co. mark on the bottom of the central pendant was verified as legitimate, much to the guest's amusement and delight. The appraiser valued this beautiful piece at...
This piece would sell for $8,000 to $10,000.
This fork is from the Hindenburg, the night it exploded at Lakehurst, New Jersey. The guest's parents were stationed there. His father was a Coast Guard engineer and went to see the Zeppelin. The explosion occurred on May 6, 1937, and 97 people were on board. 36 of them died. It is unique with the LZ symbol, representing the Luft Zeppelin. Bits of metal adhered to the fork as it fell. Other Hindenburg artifacts, like pieces of the canopy, sometimes appeared at auctions. If auctioned, this fork could sell for...
If it came up to auction, it would sell in the range of $8,000 to $10,000.
That's what I had hoped, and thank you for confirming it.
Over time, the value of this fork dwindled to a range of $5,000 to $7,000. Our guest inherited the quilt from their mother, who received it during her second marriage in the 1940s. The quilt, referred to as the Centennial Quilt, originally came with a paper listing the names of the people who made it in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. But that paper is now lost. The appraiser identified it as being in the style of a Baltimore album quilt, though not as finely made as professional Baltimore quilts. Differences in quilting ability are evident in the varied quality of the blocks, some being simpler, while others are more detailed. The use of different materials in the squares, such as a very white block next to a more muslin-like block.
We can tell because of the differences in the quality and the ability of the quilters. It's made by a number of different people.
Right. Based on the red, green, and white color scheme, the quilt likely dates from 1850 to 1860.
It's possible that it could be a Centennial quilt, but just looking at the quilt based primarily on the color scheme, all these red, green, and white squares, it actually looks like it's probably from 1850. As late possibly as 1860.
The quilt has been washed at least once, giving it a puckered look, which slightly reduces its value. Although the quilt market has declined since its peak in the 1980s, the current insurance or retail value of this quilt is estimated to be at...
As this quilt for insurance value or the retail value would be somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. Wow. In the height of the market, it would have probably been 12 to 15.
Guests brought in these items that have been in the family for at least 4 generations.
At least 4 generations now that belong to, I think, my great-great-grandfather. He was in the Spanish-American War, and I think he lied about his age. I think he was 15 and he enlisted, and he was in Cuba.
This is an artillery sword, scabbard and belt made in 1843. The sword features an inscription of the production date and an initial JCB.
1832.
And it was made in 1843. The initials that are beside the 1843 production date are JCB.
On the back side of the blade, we have the mark of Nathan P. Ames. He founded the Ames Manufacturing Company, one of the premier sword makers during the 1800s.
We have the mark of Nathan P. Ames. It's marked N.P. Ames, Springfield, meaning Springfield, Massachusetts. And they were one of the premier sword makers during the 1800s.
Another thing to note about this sword is that it's a short artillery saber, and this style was manufactured until the 1860s. This beautiful sword has a nice age on it and a beautifully cast brass handle. It comes alongside the scabbard and the belt. The scabbard is a completely different type of leather, a black leather that's been tanned, than the belt ring. The belt ring is an oil-treated leather, also called buff leather.
Most of the time when it dries out, it'll break very easily, just like that. And this one, spectacular.
Yeah.
Although the belt has some damage, it is still beautiful and pliable. As a collection in today's market, these war items will have an estimated value of.
The scabbard and the belt would bring between $3,000 and $3,500.
Wow, that's amazing.
We are presented with a tavern table.
This is a tavern table. It was made in about 1750.
The guest inherited this item from her mother, although it originally belonged to her aunt. The table was made in 1750 and is from Virginia. To come across a Virginian table is rare because Southern furniture is not very common.
It's what we'd call a Queen Anne figured walnut one-drawer tavern table. I'd probably say 1740 to 60.
This table features a simple baluster turning, which is a double baluster with unique details.
When we think of Southern furniture, there's not a whole lot of it, and we tend to call it neat and plain. Southerners kind of look to England.
Looking further, we see the drawer, which features very stripy wood, likely yellow pine.
Very stripy wood, and this is yellow pine.
Okay.
And that's what you want to see on a Virginia table.
The primary wood of this table is walnut, which is typical for Southern furniture. If we look at the condition, we see an old grungy surface with some rings and burn marks.
These rings, these burn marks, you've got some water stains. It's like nobody ever touched it. It's a time capsule.
On the front side, the legs have great color with a wooden pin that stands out.
I love this. This is a wooden pin that's just beaming right out, popping out because of expansion and contraction.
In today's market, this old one-drawer walnut tavern table with unique turnings and significant wear would cost about.
I would estimate it, and I think it's conservatively, at $10,000 to $15,000.
You were my best friend.
Well, I'm glad I could be.
The guest's dad and Uncle Henry were in the scrap iron business in the early 50s. They acquired some cast iron from street hobos in Baltimore.
Well, my dad and my Uncle Henry were in the scrap iron business back in the early 50s. And they acquired it from some street hobos.
This item is a cast iron gateway. Most gateways from that era were shaped like cannonballs. They were commonly used in England in the 18th century and America until the mid-19th century. The wear on the beak suggests frequent use. Original multicolour paint decoration is still visible. This piece is both functional and decorative, a fine example of American folk art. Its estimated auction value is.
I'd say conservatively, its auction estimate would be $600 to $800.
No, great.
In a lively appraisal session, an enthusiastic guest shares her deep fondness for Art Nouveau jewelry, particularly a cherished pin gifted upon her daughter's birth. Expertly evaluated, the pin bears French Art Nouveau hallmarks, notably the distinctive eagle head, indicating 18-karat gold. The appraiser identifies the piece as crafted by Lucien Hertz, a pivotal figure in French jewelry known for exquisite enamel work and intricate designs. Hertz, born in 1864, gained renown through his association with renowned jewelers like Philippe and Boucheron, receiving accolades such as the gold medal at the 1900 Paris International Exhibition. The pin, adorned with portraits of women and delicate floral carvings, exemplifies Hertz's versatility and mastery, echoing a piece housed in the Mousse d'Orsay. Estimates place the pin's value at $20,000 to $30,000 retail. owing to its historical significance and craftsmanship.
I place a retail value on this piece of between $30,000 and $40,000.
Wow. I was not expecting that. I thought it would be, maybe.
The guest brought a remarkable coat rack for appraisal, crafted by his uncle, Saint Pierre. A photograph from 1949 showcases Saint Pierre, a skilled artisan who repurposed materials like cigar boxes and piano parts into unique pieces. The coat rack's intricate design boasts a mesmerizing array of patterns, including zigzag motifs, herringbone edges, and geometric shapes. With 10,000 individual components, the coat rack is a testament to Saint Pierre's dedication and craftsmanship. The calculation suggests that Saint Pierre devoted approximately 67 days to creating this masterpiece, assuming a daily output of 150 pieces. The appraiser recognizes the coat rack as a prime example of folk art, specifically man's quilting, a tradition that showcases meticulous craftsmanship. Recent expositions, such as the one at the Museum of American Folk Art in New York, have heightened interest in this type of art. A true masterpiece of folk art and legacy of Saint Pierre, this rack was appraised at.
As an auction estimate, it would be in the $2,500 to $3,000 range, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. However, the historical value on this is absolutely priceless.
The guest inherited 2 Tiffany lamps from a friend who passed away in 2005, leaving behind a legacy of exquisite taste. The friend had claimed that the lamps were Tiffany originals, with the floor lamp tracing its roots back to New York in the 1940s. A closer examination revealed that the table lamp was likely purchased in Los Angeles during the 1970s.
This chevron pattern and this amazingly intricate series of rectangles and cubes, it's incredible the time that he spent.
There's 10,100 pieces in this coat rack.
The wood brine and swirling leaf patterns on the lamps were a testament to Tiffany's mastery of subtle yet striking design. Dating back to circa 1905, the lamps featured transparent glass and signature marks that hint at their rich history. A distinctive number with a dash on the floor lamp signature suggested that it might be an early production piece.
About 150 pieces.
Now you told me that
now,
earlier.
This was only on his off time.
Okay, and I figured
Fair
that
time.
out, and that means it took 67 days solid, not watching TV at all, just working to make that.
While the sockets had been replaced, the original caps remained, adding a significant layer of value to the lamps. The senior floor base on the table lamp boasts a beautifully decorated finish, complemented by an early tag signature. These lamps were a rare find, offering a glimpse into Tiffany Studio's exceptional craftsmanship, and these were valued at.
On this, retail would be about $1,800 or so, and maybe even a little more.
Flight Lieutenant Alfred Charles Culver's World War II Coastal Command memorabilia is invaluable. His daughter inherited this collection, which includes a photo, logbook, movies, and other personal items. A bullet-riddled perspex piece and a bullet from his seat recall the mission where his plane's nose cone was shot off.
You've got the perspex, which has actually got bullet holes through it.
Yes.
Then you've actually got a bullet, which was taken out of his seat.
Yes.
And the piece of shrapnel?
Taken out of his knee.
His knee.
Yes.
Despite losing consciousness, his navigator managed to bring the plane home safely. Flight Lieutenant Culver received a Distinguished Flying Medal, close to the Victoria Cross in prestige. On a search and rescue mission for another squadron aircraft, he was accompanied by artist Eric Revilius. Tragically, his logbook, marked Failed to Return, indicates that he and his crew were presumed lost at sea, south of Iceland. A letter from his commanding officer, addressed to his infant daughter, speaks to his bravery and character. Though she never met her father, his legacy profoundly impacted her life. The entire collection, while priceless to her, is valued at.
The world would not buy this off you.
No.
But it is worth £8,000.
Really?
While planting tomatoes, the guest discovered a shiny object that initially appeared to be a trinket from a Christmas cracker. After keeping it for a few years, a jeweler identified the item as a possible Victorian copy of a Roman ring. However, the ring turned out to be a genuine medieval artifact dating back 6 or 7 centuries. This ring is made of gold, which never tarnishes, and features a cabochon sapphire from Ceylon, modern-day Sri Lanka. This gem travelled across Arabia to Europe and was set into the ring at a time when coloured stones were highly valued and magical. Such rings were often worn by men of the cloth, signifying status and wealth before the dissolution of monasteries. Though labelled Victorian, the ring should be reported to museums to check if it's treasures trove. Such a ring has significant historical value, with similar pieces fetching between.
For this sort of ring, fetching £8,000 and £9,000 at
Good
auction
golly.
today.
Wow. That's
During World War I, poppies became a powerful symbol of remembrance, inspired by John McRae's poem In Flanders Fields.
Row on row. Now those are the first couple of lines of a poem written by John McRae.
Based in Richmond, the Royal British Legion's factory produces poppies and wreaths for remembrance ceremonies. Several historical poppies and a photograph from their collection were displayed by the factory manager. One of the original poppies from Britain's first Poppy Day in 1921 was shown. It was brought over by French women, inspired by Mona Michael's initiative in the United States. This pale and insipid poppy contrasts with a vibrant red one made in 1922 by Earl Haig's factory. Showing the original 1922 poppy factory workforce, a photograph includes Major Haig seated among the first 5 employees. While difficult to value due to their emotional significance, the collection of historical poppies is estimated at.
I mean, if someone came to me with these objects and said, what would you give me for them? I'd willingly pay £3,000–4,000 for them. It's an extraordinary collection.
A beautiful cameo set, referred to as a parure, is presented. This set belonged to the great-great-grandmother of the guest's father-in-law and was given to her in Pittsburgh.
And that was not uncommon in the 19th century, and it's still a tradition today that usually when you have a child, you're given a gift by your husband. This is quite an interesting gift, though.
It indicates a bracelet, earrings, a brooch, and another smaller brooch, showcasing thick and dimensional quality with a 3/4 portrait. These cameos are intricately carved from banded agate. The layering of the materials creates a striking contrast, highlighting the detailed portraiture. Identified by the Broadway address, Tiffany & Co. is the retailer of this set. This indicates Tiffany retailed it, but likely crafted it in Italy in the 1860s to 1870s. With 14-karat gold, the set's cuff buttons were initially designed for ladies' cuffs before being converted to bar pins in the late 19th century. A recent evaluation estimates its insurance value to be between.
A set of this scale and magnitude, I would say for insurance purposes, should be somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000.
Okay.
A log of the whaling ship Timo Leon, detailing a voyage that began on Christmas Day in 1831, is presented. About 15 years ago, the guest received this piece from his father, who had been given it as a gift by a colleague. Records in the log include the ship's anchor points, sailing dates, and locations visited until the voyage concluded in 1835. The log's rarity stems from its detailed record keeping and its unique presentation on a large 8-inch whaling tooth.
The name of the ship here and the master, which is J. Bunker, it doesn't list the whales that they caught.
This extraordinary combination makes it a highly coveted item among collectors. Depiction of the Timo Leon is detailed on the reverse side of the tooth. It also proudly displays the ship's name and the master, J. Bunker. This unique and historic item, given by the father, had an estimated retail value of between.
Probably sell somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000.
Oh my, really? That's unreal.
So your father gave you a nice thing.
A pipe bag and a pipe with a stem are both in remarkable condition. Flattened and dyed porcupine quills woven onto deerskin are used in the pipe bag, which displays intricate fringe. Such designs indicate that these items were crafted by the Lakota Sioux in the Dakotas and later moved to Oklahoma. Catlinite, a red stone from Minnesota, named after artist George Catlin, is the material used to carve the pipe. With its pristine condition, the pipe bowl is an unusual find, as many similar pieces have been broken and repaired. Crafted from ash, the pipe stem features intricate quill decorations, dyed with red ochre and indigo. It features depictions of a bison, a big horn ram, a turtle, and an elk. Together, the set is estimated to be worth between
just this bag, without any Sitting Bull provenance, at $25,000.
Whoa.
A captivating painting by Reginald Marsh is showcased. It features a young woman dressed in a vibrant yellow dress and a jaunty red hat. created using egg tempura on board. This artwork exemplifies March's focus on portraying the everyday lives of common people. It vividly captures the essence of his era's working class with striking detail. This painting was acquired by the guest's father-in-law in the late 1960s. March's distinctive style and the subject's striking attire are noteworthy. They highlight the artist's ability to capture the essence of his era's working class with vivid detail. In a gallery setting in New York, this painting would likely be valued around.
If this were in a gallery in New York, an asking price would probably be $15,000.
Well, that's nice.
An intricate cigar store Indian figure was carved by John Cromwell. John Cromwell, an early New York carver, is known for his tobacco shop figures, like this Indian with a signature triangular headdress. This figure also includes a bear claw and a necklace reminiscent of the peace medals given to Native American chiefs, acquired by the guest's grandfather in 1935 from Milwaukee Avenue and Division Street in downtown Chicago. Despite its age and storied past, the figure retains its historical significance and distinctive Cromwell style. Recarving the face and replacing the arm, due to damage, has not diminished the value of this notable piece. Old but non-original paint and shorter legs indicate alterations over time.
And we know that because of the fact that the face is not a John Cromwell face. The face has been, at some point in its time, prior to your family's ownership, recarved.
Okay.
Despite these changes, the piece remains valuable, with an estimated retail price ranging from
I think a retail price would be somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
a color-glossy photo of the Mercury 7 astronauts, also known as the original 7, is highlighted. This image is mounted on a mat board and features the signatures of all 7 astronauts. It was presented to the guest's father-in-law, a colonel in the Air Force in the early 1960s. This photo was a token of appreciation from the Mercury 7 astronauts stationed at Langley Air Force Base. Fostering a close relationship, the father-in-law and this family lived in the same duplex complex as the astronauts.
John Glenn helped my mother do the dishes while Alan Shepard was setting up a telescope out front, and they showed us the rings around Saturn.
That's great.
As it was signed specifically for the father-in-law in a dedicated strip panel, the photo's provenance is exceptional. This detail makes it a rare presentation piece rather than a standard promotional item. With strong signatures from all 7 astronauts, this photo is estimated to be worth between
I'm going to place an auction estimate on this at $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
If you wanted to insure it for $7,500 or so.
Okay.